last week on Legally Kidnapped.
Good evening. Our top story this week, Senator Charles Grassley of Iowa is asking the states what they're doing to investigate and crack down on doctors who are prescribing large amounts of antipsychotics. North Carolina says it's implementing a new program designed to monitor kids on Medicaid who are prescribed mood-altering drugs. The lawsuit claims that Illinois is illegally withholding psychiatric and drug treatment from kids with behavior disorders, and 1 in 5 foster kids is on psych meds in Nebraska. The governor of Kentucky is supporting a plan to pay $21 million to add 300 new positions to the child protective industry. The Kentucky child protective industry appeals a judge's decision that said that they have to hand over child abuse records where kids died from abuse or neglect while under CPS watch to the newspapers. And of course, a new judge allows more details to be withheld, giving CPS the ability to pick and choose when it becomes necessary to cover their asses in cases where they fail the children under their watch. In Delaware this week, lawmakers consider a bill that would make their family court system more transparent by opening proceedings to the public. The governor of New Mexico extends her legislative agenda with a series of new bills designed to increase punishment for child abusers. Nebraska is now blaming the state's computer system for their child welfare mess. And Ohio's Attorney General is pushing for a foster care review. In Arizona, lawmakers are taking on child welfare reforms, even though the Arizona child protective industry is all proud of itself, claiming that 75% of their 10,000 case backlog is cleared. Florida and Georgia make a deal to make it easier to send foster kids to each other's states. And the Chief Justice of Georgia's Supreme Court says that the state's juvenile justice system needs a complete overhaul. In Utah this week, a legislative committee approved a bill which would require CPS agents to apply a clear and convincing evidentiary standard before removing a child from a relative's care. In Oklahoma, a child advocacy group that was legally obligated to investigate child deaths was denied access to investigative files of a high-profile case by attorneys with Oklahoma's Department of Human Services. And Oklahoma's DHS director quits as of February 29th. In Oregon, the state's CASA director is fired and threatens a lawsuit to bring awareness of the way the state allocates its funds to the agency. Scientists from Colorado State University are studying parent-child interactions to see if they can predict if a child may eventually become the victim of abuse or neglect just by looking at patterns of how parents and kids solve problems together. The report questions Indiana's child protective industry after they failed to protect 6 kids who were reported to the hotline before they died. In South Dakota, kids are facing challenges as they are aging out of the foster care system on the day they turn 18 or the day they graduate high school, whichever comes first. And Virginia's governor wants to cut funding to child abuse centers. In Haiti this week, 2 more UN peacekeepers are being accused of sexually exploiting children. In New Zealand, the child protective industry is under investigation for failing to protect 2 kids who were abused in their home for 2 years after it was reported by neighbors. Mexican authorities continue to unravel details on a child trafficking ring where Mexican kids were sold to adopters in Ireland. In Scotland, a social worker is banned from the register for falsifying documents. And Taiwan offers a baby bonus to try to fix a plummeting birth rate. In India, a 13-year-old rape victim is forced to sign a paper giving up her claim on her child. The Indian government fails to find homes for 13 HIV-positive kids who are victims of sexual abuse at an orphanage. But the Indian government does pressure CPS agents in Norway to return a child to Indian parents in a cultural dispute which landed the kid in foster care. In Australia, a hospital apologizes for their role in a forced adoption scandal that took place until the mid-1970s. In Canada, Ontario Aboriginals who were taken from their families during the 60s scoop suffer a legal setback after losing an appeal in a class action lawsuit against the federal government. In England, a woman starts an online petition to get Amazon.com to remove books that contain content that could be considered by some to be offensive or promote child abuse. British baby stealers feel powerless to protect abused and neglected children as they cry about their unmanageable caseloads. The British foster care system is failing thousands of kids, which they claim is due to their fear of criticism. The use of controversial restraints is on the rise in British youth jails. And according to official figures, 1 in 5 kids from broken homes in the UK lose touch with one parent for forever. In entertainment news this week, Halle Berry's baby's daddy is investigated for child endangerment after allegedly pushing his nanny into a door while she held the kid. Now Halle Berry wants to take full custody of the kid away from him, but the judge delayed delays that ruling until Monday, and both are visited by California CPS agents. In sports, Penn State coach Joe Paterno, who got caught up in Jerry Sandusky's sex abuse scandal, dies, and Jerry Sandusky issues a request asking the judge to let him see his grandchildren. In Tennessee, a jail guard is facing charges of aggravated assault against a minor in a juvenile detention facility. In California, sheriff's deputies and CPS agents are cleared of any wrongdoing after being sued for entering the plaintiff's home without permission and interviewing and searching the child without legal justification. In Los Angeles, an audit reveals that a case where a jury found that two social workers lied, ending up costing the county $10.6 million. And a California man drives a sport utility vehicle right through the front doors of an Orange County social services building, leaves a suspicious package containing mineral oil behind, then leaves. In Florida, a phony CPS agent strikes again, showing up at a house and telling a guy that he was under investigation by DCF. In Illinois, a CPS agent wins benefits in a workplace injury case which happened when she fell in the bathroom. A hearing investigates alleged misconduct against Illinois CPS agents. A former Illinois prosecutor is trying to get custody of his ex-wife's adopted son. And in Iowa, a worker at a juvenile home for troubled youth is fired after making a slideshow that pokes fun at the kids. In Texas, a real mother is upset after her kids run away from the home of their mean old foster mother to live with their grandmother. And of course, Texas CPS agents are investigating that incident. In Pennsylvania, worried parents are reassured that the child protective industry won't start snatching overweight kids. Washington State will pay a woman $2.35 million to settle a lawsuit brought on after the child protective industry failed to protect her from a sex offender who abused her when she was a child. A family court judge in Nevada was removed from the child welfare case due to his personal bias against the prosecutor handling the case. And finally tonight, a law in Michigan prevents a real father from seeking custody of his daughter because her mother was married to another man before she gave birth, even though the hubby is serving a 3-year prison sentence on charges of drug trafficking. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.